Okay, Michael Crosby, candidate running for office, California. I'm updating Frack here because there's some people out there that just don't seem to understand a lot of things. So let me try to help some of these people who've had various questions in the past with an understanding on Frack here. Basically, people are concerned. They're going after Jerry. They're going after a lot of other people. And they're concerned. You have parties out there saying, hey, look, where's the strong memorandums? Where's the this? Where's the that? Where's the other thing? Basically, to explain this, it's a big, huge monstrosity. The amount of paperwork generated in the last decade or 2 decades, respectively, to cross relationship to what might be considered related to frack, is enormous, absolutely enormous. We had a situation where we had a massive terrorist problem, we had the war problem, and we had extreme demands put upon lawmakers at a federal level. So basically, the lawmakers could not physically read all of the material. If you take a certain key 30-day periods and the amount of staff that was there, it was not humanly possible to read through all the documents that they signed into effect. Them and their staff, it was not physically possible. Couldn't be done. Could not be read, evaluated, and checked for law. Too large. And many people don't understand. The part of the problem there is that they, A, don't have enough staff to properly proofread the size and number of these documents. You know, you're literally talking about people coming in, with dollies 4 feet high. Dolly after dolly after dolly of what all the paperwork is. You can bring a dolly in and it's only 3 feet wide. That's the condensed version. Anyhow, moving forward here, basically a lot of the local lawmakers, one of the reasons local lawmakers don't address certain frack problems is as follows. They're confused. They don't understand, and then when they start looking at things, some of them either don't care, some of them are afraid that if they get involved in a big case that all that's going to happen is that the companies are going to throw them into another court. They're going to go for a change of venue, go into another court, and that court is going to look at the last signed laws by President Bush and throw the case out of court due to some of the stipulations that basically say that corporations are 100% immune. Now, of course, you're going to have people that are going to bring out the various other aspects in which you had Congress and the Senate go through extreme safety reviews in the past, in which they clearly spent a lot of time and stated that they were permanently putting a backup system in place that states that at no time will any law ever be allowed to be created, or in the event if a law is ever created, it is therefore not valid if it endangers health, safety, interferes with the water. There's all these other things that go with it. And a lot of people don't understand what this actually means. This means that the lawmakers essentially already did address the problem of too many documents going across their desk and how they can be disqualified. But you have a lot of people that don't understand how to go through the process and deal with this. It's just, to them, it's a huge nightmare. So what a lot of them just basically do, a lot of leaders and politicians, in my opinion, is they just say, skip it. Skip it. Pass. So my policy is the best one because I've looked at the laws and it's very simple. You can't stop health and safety from being an issue. It's very simple. You come in, you test, there's carcinogens under pressure seeping out. It's not safe. You impound it. See, the laws that were passed at the federal level talk about limits of liability and responsibility. They don't stop you from impounding. What you do is you impound it immediately. So my policy is actually the best policy all the way around. Even, it's immediately divided into threes. The first third goes for in holding for victims and can have money immediately doled out. The other third basically is also in holding by the state, which means they're going to ensure that their taxes and any of their health and safety costs are going to be covered. And the state is actually holding the other last third, which is the corporate remainder. Now, keep in mind that situations can be, in fact, that less than 10% or less than 5% of the fund actually might be kept effectively because there may not be any threat. So mass evacuation is the best policy in all respects. It protects the victims. It protects the state. It helps the state get more taxes faster. It helps the victims get more money faster. It also actually is the best thing for corporations, because what it does is it ends up protecting corporations and limiting the amount of time that any carcinogens that they have introduced could be effectively put into a mass exposure or exposure situation causing problems, thus logic victims, etc. Now, so basically the workaround here is that the companies are going to make money faster. They will not be tempted to basically be considering saying, well, let's just sit on this $30 million or $70 million worth of gas in the ground. It's unrealized and we can't be taxed on it. Those temptations will be gone, because we're going to effectively go with the mass evacuation, because you can't resolve the seeping carcinogens problem until you relieve the number one problem, which is carcinogens under pressurization. You remove all of the pressurization and you no longer have anywhere near the same kind of effective threat as you did before. It stops most of the migration. It just really addresses it. Then you'll be able to address the other normalities in law, depending on the location, state, so forth, etc., that you have, as to what the procedures might be, if there's new experimental procedures and treatments, addressing whether or not the emergency evacuation is going to cause a possible displacement problem, which could become a future earthquake problem. All these things can then be addressed. They can then be effectively addressed. So this is the win-win-win-win deal, because you can't be stopped. There's nobody that can stop. For instance, I get elected. There's nobody that's going to stop me from moving in immediately and impounding any frack situation. There's a hole in the ground. There's a shaft that's been drilled, and I don't know what the percentage is exactly. I've heard 50% well failure of the basic integrity of the tube. So anytime you have a tube integrity problem, thus you end up with an under pressure carcinogen seepage problem, we'll just move right in and impound it. It's a health and safety threat. And we will properly monitor it and properly move forward immediately for mass evacuation of all the items under pressure, and take all appropriate actions to make sure that victims are covered. Because more often than not, you have a bunch of victims that are just basically left there hanging, and nobody wants to help them. And then all of a sudden you end up with, wow, these people had 4 kids and 3 of them got cancer. Why? You think? Okay, so having the state do its job and actually protect health and safety is important, because we're getting to the point where fMRI technology is going to be mass instituted at various levels. where basically it's part of the job description. If you want a job working with certain companies, let's say you're handling diamonds, you have to sign something that says that you will take a lie detector test on demand. If you work for a bank, so forth, etc. And it's going to be this, it's already the same way effectively in government. In order to be justice employees for the most part, you have to sign, part of the agreements that you sign includes on-demand lie detectors. And now fMRI technology is moving into place, and there's a lot of people really holding back on this. And it is going to come into play in the future. There's no escaping it. Technology is moving forward. So, in those instances, you're not talking about a privacy problem. I mean, it's very simple. If I own a bunch of diamonds and I have a business and you want to be an employee and I want to address whether or not theft occurs, you're going to have to agree to this or I'm not going to hire you. It's perfectly reasonable. On the other hand, you would have a company has no reason to ask people, what did you do at 6:30 in the evening on Saturday when you were off of work? Does that question actually pertain to something that has anything to do with the company? No, that'd be an invasion of privacy. That's none of their business. So basically that is, I hope this helps a lot of people who had some questions out there about key items, because effectively I have come up with the best plan. So when people ask me and say, you have an IQ of 200? Yes, I do. So this is the best plan for everyone involved. It addresses every situation immediately, and it lines up everything that we're going to have to think about in the future and already places it on top of the table for us to be able to deal with it. My name is Michael Crosby. I'm running for office, California. Thank you.